Yes, sir.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 14th in the series of Coffee with the Bar. And when we talk about a place like Bombay, what we automatically imagine is cricket, food, of course, Dharavi, and obviously the underworld. And a lot has been said about the Bombay underworld. And one of the most famous Tamil films to be set in the Bombay underworld is the film Nayagan. There's the story about this small boy running away from Tamil Nadu to Bombay. A similar boy was a gentleman called Suresh Krishnamurthi, at that point of time, K. Suresh, who went to Bombay as a small boy, who was effectively raised and educated in Bombay. He finished his law there and then came back to Madras, practiced for a while as a lawyer, practiced for quite a while as a lawyer for almost 25 years, and then went to find his calling in the field of Tinseltown, or at least the small Tinseltown. And Suresh and me have one common disqualification. Both of us can look at each other and say, accusingly, you are my first cousin. And that's right. Suresh is my Atai's son and I am his mama's son. So welcome Suresh Krishnamurthi to this episode of Coffee with the Bar. And I hope you're able to hear everybody. There must be a lot of familiar faces and familiar names.
Yeah, thanks very much. I never knew this damn thing was so complicated, setting this thing up. I can't understand 50%. In fact, I wonder people of my generation are going to have so many technical problems when these courts start again with all these, computer-based arguments and so on. I can quite imagine a lot of people are going to be in big trouble.
Okay. Now, Suresh, talking about your life in Bombay, let's forget the early years, but let's get to your college. You did your BSc from SIES, is it not?
Yes, I did my BSc Physics from SIES. SIES is a great institution. In fact, it puts in about something like 200 ranks in IIT every year. But I was arguably the worst physicist to ever come out of college. I did my BSc with Physics. I was arguably the worst physicist to ever come out of college. But I have this, like Shashi Tharoor says, I have this very short-term memory. So I can just manage to get till the exam. And sort of the next day, I forget everything. And looking at my marks, you will be amazed that a person with so much marks can be so dumb. Well, that's where we are.
Okay. So when you were in college, my earliest memories of you are from the year 1983 when I came to Bombay. And at that point of time, you had in keeping with the boys in the early 80s and the mid 80s, you had a wonderfully broad hairstyle and broad trousers at the bottom as well. So when I came there, you were busy into theater, is it not? You were into theater?
In fact, yes. In fact, Law College had a very strong theater field. In the sense that we won an award at FOITE, that is the IIT Bombay's cultural festival. We had the best production. We operated with only 23 chairs and 5 tables, partially because we had no budget at all, and we got a best production award. And so, this play was also put up in Prithvi. So I have some touch with the theater. Yes.
Okay. You were also something that most people in Madras do not know about you is the fact that you were ranked either in Maharashtra state or in Bombay for table tennis, is it not?
No, I wasn't ranked, thank goodness. But I was no, I was never ranked. So I was playing for my school and college.
Oh, you were playing. You were playing with ranked players.
Yeah. I stood at the same table with Kamlesh Mehta, for example. Okay. That is the closest to first ranking I could ever get.
Okay. And were you also into modeling a bit?
Modeling, Law College, again, like I said, all these things sort of went hand in hand in Law College. They had a very strong, in fact, a lot of models, people who were in the film industry and things like that, people who had just graduated with nothing to do, usually join Law College. and thereafter drop out and go to other better things. We had some great people in the first year. Nobody managed to get to the second year. That's a different matter. But first year was always alive with great and beautiful people.
Okay. Now, law college, coming to law college, did you have seriously well-known lecturers? I mean, for example, did you have some reputed lawyers, senior advocates coming as lecturers for you?
Yes, by the time I came in, there were only a few. They had become very old also. For example, we had Pitawala, who was taking company law. He was a giant. Daruwala, who was taking intellectual property. He was a giant. Among the past greats, there were people like Rafiq Dada and so on and so forth. All giants of the bar, you know. And you know what was the salary for a part-time lecturer in Bombay in those days? It was 400 rupees. And, you know, he had to spend an entire month trying to get that 400 rupees, which is just beyond all these people's range of vision.
Okay. And was interning a part of your curriculum there?
It was not compulsory.
Were you expected to intern?
No, you were not expected to intern. If you just see, there were two kinds of people who joined law college. People who just wanted an extra degree so that, you know, they would go forward in whatever they were working. Let's say you were working in State Bank and you had an additional degree. That means you go up one step in the ladder, your salary goes up by 100 rupees or whatever. There was another set of people who actually wanted to practice. And, you know, the people who wanted to practice would always like to write what is called a solicitor's exam. And which is sort of abolished everywhere else in the country except Bombay. And if you succeed in completing your course of solicitors in Bombay, you could go to England and write one exam and become a Solicitor Supreme Court of England, for which you need 2 years of an internship in a solicitor's office, and they had to give you a certificate, which only will allow you to write the exam.
Okay. Okay. So interesting process there. Very interesting process. I mean, now, how many people were into this solicitor's exams and all that in those times?
In those times, at an average, if you completed all these formalities and actually managed to sit and write the exam, about the 25 or 30 people who would actually write the exam every year, about 3 or 4 will pass, and they will be usually, there's hardly a person who passed the first time. There was no chance. Of the rare people who passed the first time, you know, the other 3 would be repeaters. That is it. About 30, 40 people would write, about 4 or 5 would pass.
Okay. Are you still in touch with your classmates from law college, considering your shift in 1987 from Bombay?
I had some very interesting classmates. For example, Piyush Goyal, our Union Minister for Railways, was my classmate, and he was quite a tough guy. He was already brilliant. He was already studying to be a chartered accountant. He was already writing the exams. He stopped attending law college after the first year. I mean, he would just come now and then just to show his face. And he came second. He came second. I came fourth. He came second. Would you believe it? He was just brilliant. Also, Justice Gautam Patel. He was also my classmate. Gautam Patel was my classmate. Merno Shumranwala, one of the leading solicitors today, he was also my classmate. And there are so many of them. I've lost touch with many of them. Many of them are all over the world. A few people were my senior. 1 year ahead of me, there was a very beautiful group. People like Shyam Devan and Harsh Desai and Pesi Modi. Some greats. They were truly great. They're all doing phenomenally well today in the bar.
Okay.
Especially Shyam Devan, for example, is Anil Devan's son. He's doing phenomenally well. He's a senior advocate himself.
Okay. A very, very unusual aspect is the relationship between a lawyer and a senior advocate. Most people have some pet senior advocates, so to say. Many people all over India have had this incredibly good relationship with Ram Jethmalani. You have had a relationship with Ram Jethmalani, but it had nothing to do with the law. You had this unusual relationship with him. Would you kindly talk a bit about that?
It was 1984 elections, and Ram Jethmalani decided to contest from Bombay Northwest constituency, which is one of the biggest constituencies in India in those days. It was an urban constituency, and against him was standing Sunil Dutt. That was the time when Indira Gandhi murder took place, and you know, there was this Congress wave. And the group of lawyers decided that they would, you know, tackle the urban middle class and above, which what Bombay Northwest constituency is all about. So we were a group of about 10 people, including Kamini Jaiswal, Rani Jethmalani, a solicitor from the Supreme Court of England. There was a lady from Iran, whatever judicial systems they have. She was a lawyer. She was extraordinarily beautiful. Harsh Desai was there, that is Ashok Desai's son. Merno Shumranwala was there. I was there, and a few others were there. So we would go, we would select an area, go door to door, and sort of talk about the greatness of Mr. Jethmalani. In the process, when we would sort of come back again, we have met some extraordinary people, some people who, whom I can just sort of looking back and sort of thinking over it. I've met some fabulous people during those 10 or 15 days when I campaigned. No? I mean, it's too long to talk about it, so we'll maybe talk about it some other time. But long and short of it, Ram Jethmalani lost by a huge margin. In fact, everybody lost by a huge margin. Congress had swept the polls by something like 400 seats. So that was the year of the Congress. So.
Okay, and your sojourn into political campaigning started and stopped with that one instance, is it?
It came to a grinding halt. I can tell you that.
Okay. Now, Ram Jethmalani, and you knew him, though not from a legal point of view. What about the really good lawyers in Bombay, at the Bombay bar, whom you knew at that point of time?
Interestingly, very, very good question. Now, you see, that was the time when a lot of these senior advocates were making this transition to Delhi. For example, Suri Sorabji had already gone, Pali Nariman had already gone, and people like us, people, who today, if you see in the Supreme Court, they were then in the Bombay High Court. They still had a chamber in the Bombay High Court, but they had all sort of shifted their practice to Delhi. Zia Modi was a raw junior then. Today, one of the greatest counsel, or rather, having the greatest firm today, Zia Modi. She was a raw person then. Kavita Daftari, who married Vinod Khanna later on. She was a raw junior then. Among the seniors, I can say possibly I have had the occasion of meeting Sirwai, H.M. Sirwai, whom I don't think anybody would have seen arguing. He himself was very old at that time, and he had this very beautiful coat. You know, a coat which you see in all these paintings, which is worn by these Englishmen. Sirwai had that coat, and I had the great fortune of seeing him appear in a matter which got adjourned regrettably, and we traveled in the same lift together. Well, that's my high point in my life. Yeah, that's a real high point in my life. I have seen Palkiwala argue. I can't believe many of you would have seen Palkiwala argue. I can't believe, I mean, this is 35 years ago. It was the Empress Mills case. Palkiwala had reduced his work dramatically. He was in the Supreme Court more often than not. He was into other things. But he appeared for the Empress Mills case, which went on over 2 days. And there was a battery of senior counsel just appearing opposite to him. Palkiwala stood there without any book, one or two people assisting him. And he was just stunning. He held the court for 2 days. This is arguably the greatest display I have ever seen, and he never touched a book. He never touched a book. And Palkiwala had this greatness, you know. Palkiwala would give, what shall I say, importance to small people. If you have ever heard his budget speeches, he would talk about the small person in the finance department who actually drafted this provision or whatever. That is Palkiwala's greatness. He could recognize even these small people, and he would make them blow them out of proportion. It was fantastic. It was he was extempo for 2 days. It was a sight to see. That was it. Then of course I had the pleasure of course seeing all these Nariman and all on a normal basis. But maybe who else? Setna, Dr. Setna, who writes all these, who wrote all these beautiful books. He was already very old then. I had the pleasure of introducing him. Regrettably, I introduced him with his wife's name, and it went downhill from there, I can tell you. So things like that. So I really met some seriously big people.
Okay, having had such an interesting experience both in college as well as in undergraduation as well as in law college, and having watched some really colorful people. Let's leave aside the fact that they were very good lawyers, very colorful people in court at the Bombay High Court. How did the shift happen to Madras, and why did you come down to Madras in the year 1987? I understand one major fact: you wanted to spend a lot of time with your dear cousin. But apart from that, what was the reason that you shifted to Madras for?
See, Bombay, whether you like it or not, there is an undercurrent of, shall we say, nepotism, for want of a better word. You had to belong to certain communities, or only certain communities could rule the roost, and their children and their children and people who are working with them and so on and so forth. Let's not go into the names of such communities. In fact, to tell you, there were only totally 5 South Indians who were in Bombay High Court. S.R. Simon, Venkateshwaran, Rajni, T.N. Subramaniam, and Radhakrishnan, and a few others, Max. So early on, I realized that anything you do in Bombay, you can never go beyond being a middle-class lawyer. That's it. You can never go beyond that. So you had to make the shift. And by that time, Bombay was already, sort of creaking at the joints. The infrastructure of Bombay was so bad. Already I was struggling to take the daily commute to court and back. I thought this is going to get worse as years went by, and it really got worse. Okay, today if you see Bombay, it is terrible. It's just one of the worst places on earth. But people survive there. And Madras is a phenomenal shift, The people in Madras are very, very cool. I mean, they're not as hurried and things like that as they are in Bombay. One major handicap which I faced, which I thought I would face, and I did face, and I never got over it, is the absence of knowledge of Tamil, which I tried to learn something like 25 times. I never succeeded. So it gives you a fair idea as to why I never went beyond a particular point in the practice of law.
How much of a culture change, culture shock, let's say, was Madras, the city, after Bombay?
Bombay is an ocean. You can get lost in Bombay. Nobody really cares what you do. But Madras is a small town. Madras, people know, almost everybody knows each other. I mean, you can hardly you can hardly keep a secret in Madras. So Madras is really different that way. But other than that, the culture shift for a middle-class man is really nothing great. From one hellhole to another, that's it. I mean, it doesn't make much of a difference.
And when you came to Madras, you joined your uncle, namely my dad, and you started practicing law. Just out of curiosity, who were your initial friends, so to say, in court?
I was amazed to see how casually the seniors would move with juniors. That is one thing which struck me as fantastic, because all those years I was in Bombay, never once has a senior really been friendly to me. Okay, but once I came to Madras, a person like Mr. Gandhi, as an example, just taking an or a person like Mr. Maslamani as an example, would look beyond the age barrier and intelligence barrier, of course, and really, sort of, and deal with you or talk with you and, consider you an equal, which is something which is very rare. In Bombay, you were always, they were senior, you were junior, and sort of that class divide was always there. But here, the way Mr. Gandhi dealt with juniors, or the way Mr. Maslamani dealt with juniors, it was just fantastic. I love those two people. In fact, I always consider one of the places which made me home was the Bar Association, which really made me really comfortable because of such people, the people who really, Mr. K.V. Venkatapati is a very good example again, another very good example of a person who made you feel really comfortable, and you never, sort of threw his weight around because he was so senior and so on and so forth. So that was a very important shall I say, thing which I noticed in Madras, which is true about a lot of councils. I'm not taking names, but that is true about a lot of councils here.
Okay, so then you went into independent practice and struck up a partnership with Puran Khemka.
Yes, my dear friend Puran Khemka. He was
how is his health now?
No, he's okay. He's okay. I'm sure he's okay. We can be hardly. I can tell you that.
I don't know.
15 years since we split, so
I know. I don't know whether Kuberan of Rank Associates is here, but around 15 to 20 years ago, Kuberan recounted one very nice anecdote about Puran Khemka. You can probably confirm whether it's true, or in the tradition of every bar, whether we've just blown it slightly out of proportion. Puran, I believe, went to Saidapet court for filing a petition for return of article, and the article in question was a bike, a two-wheeler, and his petition was returned by the court officer saying, sir, adala schedule illa sir abdinna. So Puran, I believe, tried telling her that for a bike there can be no schedule, etc. But I believe it was returned again by the magistrate saying, if you want to maintain a petition for return of articles, there has to be a schedule. So Puran wrote, bike bearing registration number so-and-so, bounded on the north by headlight, south by tail light, east by brake, and west by gear. I mean, have you heard this incident?
I'm sure it's blown out of proportion, but it sounds good anyway.
It sounds good, but do you dispute the fact that Puran was probably capable of this?
Yeah, he's capable. He's capable of anything. He's really capable of anything. Yeah. He can be quite a terror in the court. I can tell you that.
Okay, so Puran was your basically your partner, but as far as
bum chum.
Okay, but as far as apart from Puran, who were your other partners in crime as far as Madras was concerned?
Among the juniors, if you ask, or among the seniors, I do not know. But juniors, of course, I knew. That's a greatness. Another greatness which I found in Madras is that despite the fact that I come from a odd background and I can't speak Tamil very well and my Tamil is terrible and so on, the people of Madras, all the juniors, people of my age, slightly older, slightly younger, they all sort of took me in their fold, sort of correcting me, or because I had not very good knowledge about the of Tamil to start with, or the procedure of court. They all took me under the wing, and the kind of the friendliness and the help which they gave was fantastic, which is something which I will never forget. And in fact, there are some million people whom I know now in court. And you fought very hard in court, but outside court, we are very good friends. In fact, that is one thing which I always tell people. And if you go outstation somewhere and you go to this person's village and he actually sees you in their temple or something, that's it. You may have called you all sorts of names in court, but there he becomes a close friend and he will insist that you come to his house and so on. The friendliness and the friendship which I got here is fantastic. Anyway, that's one portion of it. Among the seniors, I developed a very close rapport with Mr. T. Raghavan, Mr. Vedantam Srinivasan, just to name a few. Both of whom I consider as my Manasika gurus. Okay, and to a very great extent, I learned a lot from them. Okay, how fledgling it was, but that's a whole. I am sure that's it's a different question. But coming back to your question, yeah, a lot of people gave me good engagements. They kept me well fed, and I didn't regret the decision after a long time.
Okay. Right. So now we come to the question that you partly answered. The lawyers that you admired slightly, and let's not go into Vedantam Srinivasan, we'll have a separate question for him. Apart from Vedantam, the lawyers that you looked up to for one reason or the other.
In Madras High Court?
In the Madras High Court.
Yeah. I like Mr. T. Raghavan very much. I used to like him very much. I used to like late lamented Mr. Sridevan very much. In fact, I've engaged him on 1 or 2 matters. A great gentleman, a person, hail fellow, well met, but regrettably he passed away very soon. I used to like Mr. K.T. Palpandian very much. I used to like him very much because of his boldness and his authoritative way with which he used to go about things. This is among the seniors. I now can't recollect whom I used to admire anymore. And
okay.
Maybe it will come back to me.
Okay. You had a lot of work because of your Bombay connections. You used to have a lot of work in the company law board, is it not?
Yes, I did have a few matters in the company law board. Yes, correct.
Is it because of this work in the company law board, basically company law, that you sort of got into touch with Mr. Vedantam?
Correct. In fact, when Mr. Vedantam, I have engaged him in several matters, including the Chavriya matter, there's the Senka carbon matter, there's a 397 petition, and there was this whole batch of matters involving these key estates and cutting of trees and things like that, the tree areas, prevention of whatever act it was now. So things like that. So Mr. Vedantam, I've engaged him in several matters, but Mr. Raghavan, I remember that was one matter which went on for 4 or 5 years, and I really learned a lot. Okay.
So coming back now to Vedantam Srinivasan, we're not asking about your escapades with him to either the Gymkhana or to the Cosmopolitan. But as a person, I'm sure you had a long-standing relationship with him. Would you care to, sort of explain, to say a few things about that? Plus, probably any incident. See, there must be something about him that stands out. Was there any incident or something about Vedantam that stands out for you?
See, in so far as Mr. Vedantam is concerned, he never bothered with these small triflings. For example, take the arbitrary act of settling a plaint or settling a written statement or settling some counter or some such thing. Mr. Vedantam would never go through it. He would only ask you, have you taken these 3 points, 1, 2, 3? And if you said yes, he would just throw it. That's it. But quite in contrast, others, in order to justify the fabulous fee that they charge, they will dot the I's and cross the T's and pretend as if, correct the grammar here and there and so on and so forth. The usual things which they do, to pretend as if they have actually read the whole damn thing. But Vedanta would never do that. He would just ask you these 3 basic questions. If you said yes, that is it. Mr. Vedanta would never look at the papers. And his ability to come up with some fabulous what shall I say, theories was just unbelievable, and with the correct name. For example, he would halfway through an argument, he would he would say something like the anismatic principle as an example. That was it. And for the next 15 minutes, he had to explain to you what the anismatic principle was, by which time you had already lost track of what the case was. Okay, most of us would have lost track, but he was just fantastic. He could get the name right. That is one of his greatness. And the Bombay lawyers were amazed when Vedantam came up with this golden handshake and golden parachute principles in a 397 petition and defenses in a 397 petition, which he arbitrarily said over a drink. I remember the Bombay lawyers were stunned. They could not, and most of them were not ordinary people. They were all solicitors in their own right with huge practice behind them. They were stunned at this gentleman's brilliance. So that's how Vedantam was.
And you had a personal relationship
I
as
had
well.
I had a lovely relationship with Mr. Vedantam. I used to, every week or 10 days or every month, we used to go for a small drink together. And you could start him off on any subject, not necessarily law. It could be the preparation of whiskey, for example, or why Victory House as an example. And he could wax eloquent with names and places. He had a fantastic memory, which is unbeatable. I can't believe that another person is born with this kind of memory with an ability. Quite interestingly, I do not know whether it is a feature of Mr. V.C. Gopalratnam's office. Mr. Randor Guy, he was another person whom I met. With this kind of memory for names and places, arbitrarily, it's not as if he prepared, he sort of read through the books and sort of came ready for your question or whatever. He was just fabulous. Randor Guy, these are all people from V.C. Gopalratnam's office. So I suppose there is some common thread running there.
And it probably started at the top.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. And many of us can't tell you stories about Mr. V.C. Gopalratnam, but I'm sure there are stories are abounding.
Okay. So, talking about Randor Guy, or Rangadurai as he originally was known, he was, of course, into lawyers and he was into films. Okay. Were you into films? Because I remember that you were heavily into English films and English music. Does that passion still continue?
Actually, no. English music, yes, I do listen. But movies I stopped watching, they are all terrible. So that is one. And quite quaintly, I have never seen a Tamil serial, or very few Tamil movies, only because of my sister, your sister, in fact. During the initial year I lived with you, but other than that, I rarely ever watch movies. So why a person like me would actually come into this kind of line is a sort of mystery. I can hardly explain it.
Okay. English music, always been passionate about, or at least very interested as a listener of English music. But offhand, who would your favorite musician be?
Pink Floyd?
Pink Floyd. Okay. You've done a lot of traveling with Murari, senior advocate.
Yes, Murari is brilliant in music. No, by the way, I must tell you.
Which is why I'm asking you, if you've done a lot of traveling with Murari, senior advocate, and you consider him a friend, whether he does or not, why did you not name him as your favorite musician?
Well, he can't sing a note, that's a different matter, but he's brilliant. His knowledge of music is unbelievably good. So he can go chapter and verse.
Isn't he a guitarist?
I understand, though of course I've never seen him in action, though he threatens to pick up the guitar now and again, but I've never seen it happen. But he is brilliant. There's no two things about it. His knowledge of music is par excellence.
Okay. So you practiced till around 2009, 2010, and in 2010 you abandoned the legal profession and went full-time into acting, is it not?
I foolishly thought I could do a business also.
Okay.
As it turned out, it was the worst decision of my life. I lost a lot of money. In fact, we all lost a lot of money. And I lost two or three precious years of my life too.
Okay. And see, this leaving the profession and getting into another profession is not such a bad thing. But considering the fact that you probably did it in the year 2010, you were close to 50 at that point of time. I mean, don't you think the timing was a bit wrong in trying to switch professions?
Everything was wrong. In fact, I can hardly believe today, looking back, and if you ask me whether I would take such a decision, the answer would be no. But, when your time is bad, you take foolish decisions. So, and that too, you're going from a pickle business to a pickler business. I mean, I can tell you that the media is a terribly fickle mistress. There were times, in fact, there have been recent times when there has been no work. Okay. But it's okay. We manage.
But in 2010, when you took this momentous decision to shift, how did your family take it?
My mother was aghast, to say the least. My mother was petrified, and she was very. My mother had visions of me being a great person, but unfortunately, I never gave her that opportunity to boast about me because I was mediocre in everything. So, the greatest tragedy was I won my award for acting after she died. That was the greatest tragedy. She never lived to see it. Otherwise, she would have been, sort of like a peacock. She would have told everybody on the street about her son. But I never gave her that opportunity. She died before that. So she always thought that she had this useless son, who was absolutely good for nothing, who had not only been a failure as a lawyer, now he's a failure as an artist also.
I'm sure from wherever she is right now, I'm sure she's looking down on you. At least smiling at the way you're saying these things about her.
Yeah, I'm sure she is, but just too bad that she missed it by a month. She missed it by about a month or so.
Okay. So you sort of took this decision to quit practice, and now we come to the slightly more interesting part of your life, at least according to us. You started off with ads, is it?
No.
Advertisements?
No. Actually, the sequence, it's a rather long answer. I hope you'll bear with me. I first did a movie. This movie is called Pulan Visarane Part 2.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So, for a very, very long time, you were wanting one particular thing, is what I've heard from a lot of people. And you did not get it. And the thing in question is the judgeship of the Supreme Court.
Directly.
And since you did not get it, the next best thing would be to play the role of a Supreme Court judge in a movie, which is what you did in that movie.
Completely, more or less true. But anyway.
No. The questions are now. There are two incidents that are highly talked about in your role of a Supreme Court judge in that movie. The first is after the Tamil film Parashakti, which was renowned for its dialogues. It was this movie with specific reference to your role, which had incredible dialogues, because you would look at your daughter, who's the heroine in the movie, and say, "Aao, beti, aao." And after that, there was no more dialogues for you in that movie. Is that right?
Something like that. Okay, it was not so bad. I had about 10 days of work.
Okay.
And, started from here, there. I mean, there was something. It was not so bad. Well,
okay.
How
now the The second interesting incident about that movie, I believe you people wanted to shoot for the movie in front of the Supreme Court. You went in front of the Supreme Court, set up shop, camera, etc. there, and then found out that you didn't have permission and you were chased away by the security.
Actually, it was done before the National Art Gallery in Delhi. Finally, what they show is the Supreme Court, which ultimately I think got edited out also. It was shot before the National Art Gallery in Delhi. In fact, in Delhi, most of the buildings look alike, so you can hardly tell one from another. And they all look big and grand and so on and so forth. So it didn't make any difference. Not that anybody would, how many people amongst us have actually seen the Supreme Court. You can always throw something in front of the eyes, you know.
Okay.
So anyway, that got edited out. Coming back to the movie, it got edited out, and 10 days of work. And this movie never got released for 10 years, by the way. It started in 2005, it got over in 2006. I did the dubbing in 2007, and it didn't get released till 2015. Okay, there was some problem with the censors. And there were several cuts and a lot of problems with the censors and things like that. So finally, they released it in 2015. It was a dismal failure, of course. But interestingly, one of these TV channels has bought it, and they are showing it every 2 days. The kind of they are totally without any material at all, so they show it every 2 days. So now the damn thing has become popular. Anyway, that is one. And then, you know, I was just sitting one day in the office in 2007, you know, just ruining the fact that I had no work or whatever. And then I got this call from K. Balachandar. He wanted me to play the part of a judge in a Tamil serial. It was just the starting of Kalaignar TV. He wanted me to play the part of a judge. I said, okay, I have nothing much to do. Not that I'm doing any other work, the more important. So I went. That was 4 days of work. So from there, somebody saw me, and then he offered me another job. That was again another small thing. It was called RSC. It's a very famous serial. It's terribly famous. So there I got noticed, and then it one led to another, and then I did one for Ramya Krishnan, and so on and so forth. The story goes on.
Okay, tell me something. How difficult, now you've been in this industry now for almost 10 years, a decade.
About 15 years, 13, 14 years, yeah.
Okay, how difficult is it really to break into this industry?
Very difficult.
Very?
Very difficult. In fact, for every successful person that you see in this industry, there are 1,000 failures. For every successful director that you see, there are 200 directors who are hanging around outside AVM without any work, hoping for a chance to direct one episode or one serial. Okay, there are, for every script writer who gets a chance, there are million script writers who have come to me. All of them are brilliant. In fact, one of the great things which I found being in this line is that you are surrounded by people who are brilliant, who are very articulate, who are very who are visionaries, who can think and express themselves very well, and so on. That's one good thing. And very artistic. The people are very artistic.
Okay. Now, many people see the entertainment industry, whether it's big screen, small screen, etc., and the visual media, as a very comfortable life, full of glamour and surrounded by men and women who are, at least on screen, rich, beautiful, and intelligent. Is it really that way? The reason that I'm asking is, over the last 1 month, especially with all these deaths and suicides and all that, there seems to be a slightly dark side to this industry. I mean, has it ever, in the context of what you said a couple of minutes ago, saying that there has been no work for quite some time, is it an integral part of the industry, this dark side and this unemployment and all that?
Yes, it is true. In fact, depression is one of the greatest problems in this industry. People get very depressed because when you are a star, take Rajesh Khanna as a good example. When he was a star, you know, people were kissing his car. Afterwards, nobody even came to his bungalow. Even his burqa was not coming to his bungalow. So when you are a star or when you are acting, you know, you are treated at a level which, you know, you think you are closer to God. And once you have your first failure or you have a brief period without work, you know, these depressions start setting in. Partially because nowadays people are more educated. Then they were not educated also. If you are not educated, what else can you do? You cannot, you have no work. What do? Then you start doing all the wrong things. You get into the wrong deals, you get into the wrong people, you do the wrong professions. You start doing the world's oldest profession instead of the world's second oldest one, and so on and so forth. So, you know, these things happen, and levels of depression are very high. Suicides are very common. This industry is really tough.
Okay. Now, follow-up question to the previous one. The youngsters in this profession, in this industry, in this field are unable to cope up with expectations, etc., and are depressed. Now, you entered this field much after you had experienced life, after there was a lot of ups and downs in your own life. Is that one of the reasons that you are enjoying the field, since you did not come into it with a lot of expectations of, let's say, becoming the next Gregory Peck of the Indian industry?
Correct. A good question. Now, you see, if you do not have heirs, okay, and if you keep yourself away from the industry, for example, if you have to succeed in this industry, you have to go about it in a particular way. Bottoms have to be licked, and people have to be, what shall I say, you have to prostrate before people, and so on and so forth, and you have to do several other things which I need not talk to you on this live broadcast. Okay, so you finish all that, and you have learned all the wrong lessons in life. You think this is life, but no. For me, I came in at the age of 43 or 45 or some such thing. I had already experienced several things. I am not in the industry. I have no friends in the industry. I don't care what people think about me. I never attend any of the filmy parties or the grand, what shall I say, the functions which they have and so on, even if you have an invite. Okay, but people are so much into the industry that they want to be. If you don't get an invite, for example, today I read somewhere that somebody was complaining that he didn't get an invite for some odd party or some odd movie release. I think that's ridiculous. So what? You don't get an invite, so what? There are hundreds of other people who didn't get an invite, so what? But they take it to heart, and then they get depressed, and because they think that they have to go there and show themselves, they have to dance in front of the stage, they have to do something comical in order to be noticed and things like that. It's very depressing. But they have to feed themselves. Can't blame them.
So what are the serials that you're doing right now?
Right now, I am doing a serial called Nayagi, which I'm likely to come out of, because they were likely to change the story, because there's a big gap. The last 3 or 4 months, it was going at a particular pace. Now they cannot, handle that pace anymore, because that gap is there. Now 4 months gap is there, so they are starting off with a new track. So we get axed from there. So that's one serial which I'm doing, which I'm out.
In a continuous...
And another one which I'm doing, in which I'm playing the girl's father, is called Anbudan Kushi. That's in Vijay TV, where I play a Rajasthani. In fact, I had gone to Jodhpur. That's the interesting part. I had gone to Jodhpur for the shooting, and these odd villages about 50 kilometers away from Jodhpur, they have never seen His Highness the Maharaja of Jodhpur. So when they saw this grand man sitting with a turban and in a jeep and 3 motorcycles in front and 4 motorcycles behind, they thought I was the Maharaja. Really, honestly, they thought I was the Maharaja. Because then, a lot of, sort of deferential treatment and so on and so forth. They were sort of short of prostrating in front of me, they did everything else. But then that's how interior Rajasthan is. Can't help it.
Okay. So normally in a long drawn out serial, if a person has to be sent out, they normally kill the person. Are they going to do that to you in Nayagi as well?
They are likely to. See, killing alone does not mean that the person's this thing comes to an end. He or she can always come back as a ghost. In fact, it has happened. It has happened in a serial in which I was acting. They suddenly found that the television channel said, no, don't stop the serial now. It will be extended by another month. And they had already killed the heroine. And, they had to do something about it. So, so she came back as a ghost and so on and so forth. So it has happened. It's not as if it is without precedent.
So there's still hope for you?
They will send me to America, or they'll arrest me or some such thing. So that, they keep me alive somewhere.
Okay.
So after 3 or 4 months.
There's still hope for you to come back as a ghost?
Yeah. No, actually come back. No, whether they're a ghost or not.
Okay.
So actually come back.
Okay. Coming back to what you said a few minutes ago about your Attai passing away before you got this award. You got this award for Best Villain on the Small Screen, is it?
Yes. It is the Sun TV Award. It is the Sun TV Award for best villain for the year 2019.
2019.
Yes.
Okay. Was it, this was for the serial Nayagi?
This was for the character I played in serial Nayagi, yes.
Okay. Was it by nomination or was it by voting?
I'm sure, see, I'm sure there is some idiotic this thing which they do. I'm not too sure exactly what is the process which they follow, but I'm sure that there's some, I mean, and like nepotism exists everywhere. I'm sure there is a level of nepotism which exists here also. You know, propping up serials which are where you are funded, propping up people whom you want, and so on and so forth. I'm sure things exist here also.
Okay. So, best villain on Sun TV for the year 2019. There is a school of thought which says that you did not have to act at all. You just had to be yourself to be a villain. Is that right?
That's ridiculous, considering I always thought I was a very soft person. I always thought that I've got this most villainish look, and I can only be, you know, a rich zamindar or a judge or, you know, one of these characters. But how, you know, that's a great, no, that's why the intelligence of the director comes in. You know, that's why, you know, he's like a sculptor. You know, he knows what is inside the stone. So a director, you know, when he looks at you, he decides, okay, this guy will suit you, will suit the character. Which I must say, this director really made a fabulous choice. I never knew I could do it myself. In fact, I went for the audition and came back saying that this will never suit me. How can a villain's rule suit me? It will never suit me. But there he was. He insisted that I should do it. He had a fight with Sun TV, insisting that I should do
it. So the director could see the inherent villainy in you.
Villainy in me. I mean, he knows a thing or two about me, which we do not know ourselves.
Correct. Okay, now considering what you've said over the last 2-3 questions, you have always been very frank and outspoken, never thinking twice about speaking your mind on whatever topic, be it in court or otherwise. Because I also remember when I was a student and you were appearing in the State Consumer Commission before Justice Belli, notwithstanding the fact that he was a retired judge of the High Court, you told him something like, this is my argument and you may pass orders, it will be tacked onto your tally or your target for the month.
Or what's that effect?
No, considering that you're that tactful and diplomatic, now being in the public eye, has it changed the way you talk in public?
It is maybe age. You know, then you were younger. Then I was younger. Today, how to talk in an interview? I give so many interviews. You know, everybody, for some reason wants to interview me. So I have nothing new to say. You know, the same old grind. You know, I came to this K. Balachandra call me kind of stuff, which I can read anywhere. But you know, for some reason they always want to interview me. So you know, I have to be tactful. You know, I can't hurt anybody, you know, and nowadays people get hurt by all sorts of stupid things, which is amazing. Nobody seems to be able to take a joke either. That's another problem. I find that sense of humor has gone down so dramatically that you're not able to quote, you know, make a quote or a phrase or some such thing, because, you know, some people take annoyance and, you know, you find long letters written to the editor or to the channel head or whatever about this person and so on. So I would learn to be more tactful, for want of a better word.
Okay, now we come to another aspect of you which a few of the people who are in this session would probably know, namely that you're a walker. When this topic was framed by me and I sent it out to people, all roads lead to Rome, Madre. Everything seems to lead back to Vedantam. Vedantam's nephew, Giri, called me and said, Sir, Suresh Krishnamurthi, lawyer, yes. Actor, yes. But what is this walker? I told him, Johnny, of course. So anyway, coming back to your walking abilities, basically at the boat club?
See, why, this is a good question. Now, you see, boat club is a very depressing place where everybody used to come, you know, put their heads down and sort of walk their mandatory 3 rounds or whatever and go away. We wanted to make boat club a different place. You know, we wanted to make people more friendly to each other and so on and so forth. So we started what is called the Boat Club Walkers Association. One of the objects of the Boat Club Walkers Association is to get people to know each other. So at least you wish each other in the morning and so on and so forth. So even if you fall somewhere or something, there's somebody to pick you up. Now, every 3 months, we used to have a breakfast, we used to have a guest speaker, and so on and so forth. So we started off with a small crowd of about 50 people, then it became 100, then it became 150. But the last meeting which we had many years ago is 250. But I'm happy to tell you that now Boat Club is a most vibrant place. People are very happy to walk. People know each other. They are friendly. They wish each other. It's no longer, you put your head down and pretend to be an ostrich and, walk around the boat club, just for the morning exercise. No, it's more of a social gathering. That's what we intended to make it. And, people suddenly start feeling bad. Okay, I'm not able to go to boat club in the morning as if they missed a morning coffee, that sort of thing, which is something which we have succeeded. I would say with a bit of, I'm likely to take a bit of credit for that. But thank you anyway.
Okay. Now, I have, that I know many of your friends who walk at the boat club, and many of them seem to be under the impression that for you, coming to the boat club is more exercise for the mouth and for the eyes rather than for the body. Is there any truth in what they're saying?
100% true, which is exactly what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be a more social place. And rather than, pretending as if you're, dying to have a fit body, who really cares? Yeah, come on, yeah. I mean, fitness is okay, but
okay, fair enough.
Over fitness.
Fair enough. Now, this thing about not caring so much about fitness as caring about your chin wag and, looking around. Do all your other friends from the legal fraternity also belong to the same category? Beware, they're all here.
Nonsense. If anything, they all talk about law.
Oh, I see. Okay.
See how diplomatic I am?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I never expected anything lesser from you. You always had a love for moving ahead from boat club where you see a lot of cars, especially nowadays. You always had a love for cars, especially foreign cars. I remember around 20 years ago, you had a Mercedes.
Yes, regrettably.
That's in keeping with the color of your car. It was a white elephant.
Yeah, boy. I will never again.
Okay. You knew V.S. Subramaniam very well.
Reasonably well, yes.
Yes. I knew him. I came to know him very well only because of our shared passion for cars. Did you know that in the 50s he had a Daimler?
Yeah, he still had it in the when I came to Madras in 1987, he still had it. It was a silver colored Daimler.
He had it, is it?
Oh yeah, he had it.
Okay, then he had.
In fact, he bought a Volvo from one of our clients. That Volvo which he had actually belonged to one of our clients.
Oh, I see. Yeah. And then he bought an S-Class from Kerala.
No, that's a different one. That's subsequently. That was maybe in year 2000 or 2001. It was a S-Class, yeah. And it would give about 3 to 3.5 kilometers per liter, which if you ask him, just to irritate him, if you asked him, what is the mileage, he would just go for the next 10 minutes on that.
Okay. What would be your dream car?
Today?
No,
Today,
please.
I think I moved beyond cars. I'm more into motorbikes. We are always, We are always into things which we can never own or never do, or places which we can never go, women we can never, hope to attain and things like that. So now I'm into motorbikes. I know I can never buy a motorbike in my life, but for some reason I'm crazy over it.
Okay. Now, because of your love for cars and your love for obviously for driving, traveling seems to have picked up for you, especially after the time you've started acting.
Yes, that's because I have a lot of free time.
You've had a lot of free time. Is this the time that you've sort of gotten closer to Murari, etc.? Because he was mentioning that he's done a road trip with you, etc.
Yeah, in fact, I've done several road trips with Murari.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. We have gone several places. And more than that, this is in life, I do not know. I mean, maybe you're also reaching that age. Many of the people are reaching. There's something called the doctrine of, diminished returns. You start feeling less and less interested in doing what you are doing. The returns sort of just don't match up to what you want. So today I'm very free. I work maybe about 10 to 12 days in a month. I'm comfortable. 17, 18 days if I do 2 serials. Okay, I'm comfortable with that. Another 10, 12 days, I like to travel. I like to do things which I always wanted to do and things like that. Suddenly, I found that I have no hobbies. All these years of being in court, I suddenly found that I have no hobbies, which is a tragedy. I wasted my life. Now I've started doing things. I've started reading again and watching some few things and traveling. Traveling is what I like more. Yes.
Okay. And because of your visibility now over the last few years, because of the serials and small screen television, etc., during your travels, how many times do you get people, sir, or autograph coding, sir? How often do you get mobbed? Or are we thinking too much?
It happens only in Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
Outside Tamil Nadu, nobody really bothers you that much unless they are Tamil speaking, which is very rare. For example, in Goa, where we mobbed, and there is no, naturally, nobody really cared. You were just one of the. But in Tamil Nadu, I can tell you that things are, as Murari would tell you sometime. We do get some odd people really come up to you and pretend as if they are close to you, or they call you by their screen name and things like that. It happens. It's interesting.
Okay.
I feel good. Mm.
Okay.
So many years as a lawyer, nobody really knew me. Today, even a person who's digging the road seems to be recognizing me. Yeah, it happened. It actually happened in front of, in Tinagar. There was this guy who was digging the road for laying a cable, and I just finished my breakfast and I came out of Balaji Bhavan, and he recognized me. Could you believe it? Arbitrarily, a person on the street recognizing me. This is fantastic.
Okay, so in effect, what you're trying to tell us is your love for books, your love for whatever other activities in the form of hobbies have all been
fallen by the wayside.
Oh, I see. Okay, so I'll probably open this out. I'll open everybody's mic so that if there are a lot of people who've had various axes of various sizes to grind with you. So let's see what people have to say. But before that, there was this one gentleman who sent an email to me yesterday. He goes by the name of Ganesan. He's a professor from the US. I hope you know.
Yeah, uncle, yeah.
Yeah. So your Chitapa. So he wanted to, I think he is watching. Would you like to, I think you, Wilson, Subramaniam Ganesan, please unmute him.
I think he's already on the screen.
No, he's not. He's on the screen, yeah. Yeah, please. Yeah. You can ask.
I'm really happy to hear all the things that you said.
Yeah.
Then one other question I have is, which profession you like most, the acting or the law profession? If you get a second chance, which will you take?
I would love to be a lawyer because that's far more intellectual. See, it involves you're using your intelligence. Here, you just have to pretend as if you look good. That's it. And then you get by. But any day, I would like to use my intelligence, which is what we are all, geared for. We are geared for using our intelligence. We have put in so many years of hard work, and now that should pay off. But regrettably, we are in the wrong line. Doesn't matter. Maybe I will do well here at least. Thank you, Jadaba, for watching.
Question. Suppose you get just to practice law, instead of going to the court, can you keep advising some poor people or societies of non-profit organizations? Just share your.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But you really have to put in a lot of work. It's not so easy. You have to keep abreast of the law, which I'm totally out of touch now. I've just thrown away all my books, so I don't think I can just go back anymore. It's going to be anyway. Thanks for the question. I'll just keep it in mind. Though I do offer free advice to a lot of people, nobody listens. That's a different matter. But I dish my advice free.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All the best. Thank you, guys.
Thank
so,
you.
Sriram, you did a very good job of hosting this.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else would like to ask anything? We've got a lot of people. Suresh calls his friends here. Starting from Jawad to Murari to Srinivasan, Partha Sarathi. Partha Sarathi, where are you? Wilson, can you unmute Partha, please? R. Partha Sarathi.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Partha, please.
Hey. Hi Suresh, how are you?
Hi, good. Hey, hi, Pataji.
Good to see you. Now, my question to you was, I've always known you as a cheerful, jolly fellow in the court, and I've not interacted a great deal with you, but I've known you a little bit. But then, I just one question to you. I always known that you wanted to be a judge, a Supreme Court judge, that too. Did you actually think you can get away with it, just be a judge and be happy? Did you actually think you could get
Good question. No, not that. But you know, see, when you are an idealist, when you are an idealist, you have a lot of, you think a lot. You think about law, justice, justice for the poor and things like that. But the moment you come into the profession and start earning, and all these things fall by the wayside. It happened to you. I know your father very well. But in fact, at some point we had a discussion about putting up an office together too. So, but as the moment you start practicing, for some reason I find that idealism which you had as a student, and during the early part of the profession when you were really struggling, sort of falls by the wayside. For some reason which I'm able to fathom, then you become a total capitalist for some strange reason, and you refuse to admit you appear in cases which involve you appearing for free. That goes totally against your oath or whatever little we took of it.
But between you and me, I know that all this idealism takes a hit when you start appearing and get whacked by 3 or 4 judges left, right, and center. And then, and then you lose all interest in practice.
Yeah, I agree. It's a law of diminishing returns also. You go so excited to court, and then you get thrashed.
You get completely stripped in you get completely stripped in court, and that's when you realize this is not my cup of tea.
It's stupid. I mean, and so and if you think that nepotism does not exist in Madras High Court, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Nepotism does exist.
I'm not under that mistaken impression. Don't worry.
100% it exists. There's no two things about it.
Thank you, Piran. Thanks.
Right, thanks, Partha. Suresh, you'll have to come a bit forward. You're sounding kind of faint. Okay. Next we have Mr. Osman, Abdul Razak Osman, who's raised his hand. And Mr. Osman, please. Mr. Osman, your mic is on.
Yes.
Please.
Hi, Razak.
Yes. Hi, Krishnamurthi. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
You hope you remember me.
Of course, do I remember you, the smart, handsome guy? Huh? Come on, tell me.
Come on. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. You are no less anyway. So, how's the acting field going on? I didn't know you're taking up acting now.
Yeah. You must see me. You must see me in one of the serials which comes at 8 o'clock in the night. I mean, now it comes at 9 o'clock. See it after this thing.
Which
please
channel?
My namaskars to Bhavi also. Please give her my good wishes.
Yeah. Thank you. Which channel is that?
It's in Sun TV.
Sun TV. Okay. And good speaking to you. I'll get your number from Sriram and catch up with you later on.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay.
All the best.
Yeah, thanks.
Right. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Sriram.
Yeah. The next is TV Lakshman. Wilson, just.
Yes, sir. I think he can.
Lakshman. No. You'll have to unmute yourself.
You have to unmute, sir.
You unmute. Yeah. You're now on.
Hi. Just to say hi.
Hi.
Remember me?
Hi, Lakshman. Sorry, I can't see you, but hi anyway.
You can't see me.
No, I can't see you.
You can't?
No?
No.
I
Okay,
think.
hi. Just to
Hi,
say-
Lakshman.
Yeah.
Hey, hi,
You
Lakshman.
realize you are still popular? Do you realize you are still popular?
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Very
much.
way to go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Lakshman. There is somebody.
Bye.
There is somebody uniquely named Galaxy Note 10 Plus who's raised his hand. Galaxy Note 10 Plus.
That's me. Hello.
Who's that?
Hema Sampath.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Oh,
I came incognito.
I can.
Hi, Suresh.
Hi.
Remember me? No? Ghost from your past. I used to know you.
In fact, I want to tell one thing when Kumar asked me, Sriram asked me, he said, what about the books? And I would say Henry Cecil, because if there was ever a person who was an expert on Henry Cecil's book, it was Hema Sampath. Okay? And I'm sure, Hema, you remember those days? Hey. And I think the video and the audio both have gone off. Both have gone off.
She'll have to.
But anyway, I must tell you, if ever there's a person who is phenomenally well read, with a terrific sense of humor, it has got to be Hema Sampath. And her knowledge of Henry Cecil, which led me to start reading Henry Cecil. You know, I started reading Henry Cecil quite late. In fact, only after she told me, though I'd finished all the others before that. But Henry Cecil is one of her favorites.
But Suresh, I forgot to mention, sorry for interrupting this tete-a-tete between you and her. She also claims that she beat the pants off you as far as doing the crossword is concerned.
Yeah, she's terrific. She's brilliant. I'm a great admirer of Hema Sampath.
Okay.
Yeah.
So apart from that vote of confidence from Suresh Krishnamurthi, do we need anything else?
Vote of thanks, sort of. I think we have sort of exhausted everybody's patience.
No. Two more people who've got their hands up, literally. You want to say anything to Suresh? Apart from the fact that he still looks good.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is V.S. Jayakumar.
Hi, Suresh.
Hi, Jayakumar.
Several times you walk and crack good, bloody jokes.
You're my boss. Yeah.
I learned a lot from you. I suppose you learned a lot from me. At least
I learned so much from you. He's the boss. Jayakumar is the boss.
And after
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, after your popularity, you become Backstreet Boys.
I don't come anymore. Anyway, you don't come anymore either.
No, it's okay. I come late. Your time, my time does not come.
Yeah. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Virtually, you're looking good.
Thanks.
Suresh, you've created a record of sorts. You managed to get Lita to attend a webinar, and she says, "Lovely listening to candid Suresh."
Yeah, I can hardly tell you.
Jawad seemed to have put his hand up. Jawad, Wilson, unmute Jawad.
Hi, Suresh. How are you? I just wanted to share two anecdotes about Suresh's sense of humor.
Hold on, Jawad, for a minute. Let Suresh. Yeah. Suresh, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah. Done, Jawad, please.
Yeah, hi, Suresh, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Looking as deadly as ever.
Thank you.
I just wanted to share two things about Suresh. One is his sense of humor. I remember once he was driving his car and I was driving my car, and we just opposite casino, both our cars were together waiting at the signal. And my wife was there, and I asked Suresh, where are you going, Suresh? And he showed like this for a very spirited discussion, he said. So that was one. The other thing was, I don't know whether Suresh remembers, we had a client from Bombay, a very lovely lady. Yeah, she was very disappointed that you had quit practice. But then when I told her that, he's into acting and serials, and I told her, though she doesn't understand a word of Hindi, I'm told that she very avidly watches Nayagi.
You mean Tamil? Thank you.
So all the best, Suresh. All the best.
Thanks very much.
A very nice session. And Sriram, your questions are fantastic.
Thanks, Jawad.
Thanks,
Jawad. Thank you. Anybody else wants to, say something or ask something? I can only think of Murari, who seems to be well under the covers right now. If anybody wants to say something, or
I think we are already beyond our, We are overstaying our welcome. Come on.
No, I think Murari has just raised his hand. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Swaminathan.
Suresh, I just wanted to ask you one thing. I think not ask you, I think you should relate this, that your experiences with V. Nataraj. I think that's something that
that's a topic. That's an entirely. It's a full session by itself. Come on, the times we have spent together, and that entire group. That entire group is so fantastic. The people of that era, coming from those offices, and they don't take themselves so seriously. They are always.
Bhaskaran.
He was talking about video. Is there some problem with the video?
No. It's just that somebody else's mic is on. That's
okay.
Yeah, Suresh, continue.
No, so I was just saying that entire group of people who worked in those kinds of offices, who are all of that age group, they never took themselves seriously. They never took the law seriously. They never had any great aspirations for themselves. But they were all terrific people, terrific. Starting from V. Nataraj, Sanjay Mohan, and people like that. Fabulous. They were all terrific.
Okay, maybe we'll have a separate session for that.
Well, it can't be a session by itself. Come on.
No, one-on-one. That's the best.
Yeah, that's out of question.
Yeah. And since he has brought it up, I think Murari will be the host.
Yeah.
I think your R. Swaminathan has something to ask. Sir, solunga.
Yeah, I am one of the persons who used to walk with him.
The thing is, sir.
I am one of the persons who used to walk with him in the boat club. Every evening we used to meet, We have
Tanjavur days line theriyum, sir.
Tanjavur kadaiyalam theriyuma.
I know you from the Tanjavur days. I hope you remember.
Yes.
We attended this marriage in Chidambaram.
Yes. At Chidambaram we attended the marriage, and every evening we used to meet there in the boat club.
Yeah. How are you, sir? How's your health?
Fine. Good.
My best wishes to you, sir.
It's nice to see you after a long time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Very kind of you.
All the best to you, sir.
ரொம்ப நாளுக்கு அப்புறம் சுரேஷை பார்க்கிறேன். அவனை பத்தி ஏதாவது சொல்லுங்க. தஞ்சாவூர் குசும்போட சொல்லுங்க.
நாங்க வந்து வாக்கிங் போறபோது எல்லாரும் பேசிட்டே போயிட்டு இருப்பாங்க.
Okay.
எப்போ பார்த்தாலும் அங்க we or 4:35 o'clock போல we used to meet in Boat Club Road.
Okay. Right. Thank you. And if nobody else has any other thing to ask or say, I think we Madri come to the end. As Suresh says, we Madri overstayed our we just overstayed our session or our welcome. It's just an interesting thing according to us, which we tried out. We hope we had good fun bringing it. I'm sure Suresh had good fun recounting or reminiscing. I had good fun asking him whatever I thought was interesting, which he would present in his own witty style. I hope you had good fun watching it. We just tried this as opposed to the normal, to be very honest, boring webinars about this act and that act. I think there's far more that we should be doing, especially during these rather troublesome times, to keep our spirits up, both literally and figuratively. And that's where Suresh sort of filled the gap. According to me, the best part, my vote of thanks is almost redundant because of the two chats that I am seeing. One is from Motilal, which says, "Nice to hear you after a long time, including ever smiling sir. It is a rewinding of memories when I was junior of V. Kuberan from 94 to 99. And the next one was, of course, Lita's original comment saying that Suresh was his usual candid self. So thank you very much, Suresh. Thank you very much. And that's the last of the technical support that we are going to give you. Thank you very much. And have a good day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Take care.